age where there's peace for his people and there's offerings and sacrifices, and even the foreigners come to recognize God and participate in the temple system.
So do you know how Ezekiel 38 fits into the dispensational view of the millennial reign?
I know how you guys don't know how to read Ezekiel. Have you read all of Ezekiel? Right, have you read all of Ezekiel, or have you only read about the battle of Gog and Magog?
I have read Ezekiel probably.
Right. Well, and what does Ezekiel say is going to happen when the prince comes, when the Messiah comes?
Right, there will be, just like what it's saying here, offerings in the temple.
Yeah, and what does it say about the foreigners?
In a sense that they're going to come and worship the Messiah, or at least recognize it.
And do they need to be circumcised?
I'm not sure what you're getting at.
Because Paul said you don't need to circumcise the foreigners, but Ezekiel says you do. Thus saith the Lord God, no foreigner uncircumcised in heart or flesh of all the foreigners who are among the people of Israel shall enter my sanctuary.
No, that's what we're primarily referring to the hearts.
It said heart,
does not matter.
Heart and flesh. What's the circumcision of the flesh?
Hello. Please state your name after the tone. Google Voice will try to connect you.
Dante.
Listen, Justin, when you read these,
What's the circumcision of the flesh? Don't run from it, Brian. Don't be scared.
you're a hermeneutic.
Right. I'm just asking you, what does it mean, circumcision of the flesh? We're almost done. I'm just giving you the tip.
Literally. Go ahead and change your goal. How do you hit
So, can I ask you a question here, Justin?
Brian, you're going to answer my question. What does it mean to be circumcised in the flesh?
Means you were cutting off your foreskin.
That's right. That's a physical circumcision. And God says the foreigners will not be able to enter unless they have circumcision of the heart and of the flesh.
Can I back up a little bit and just say this? So I'll say, oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, gotcha. Just to kind of end this little section. Sure. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
You are invoking the standard that all of humanity has an obligation to not believe that which is in contradiction. My biggest contention from an atheist, materialist worldview.
Right, I'm not an atheist.
Okay, what do you believe?
I believe in Doug. Doug is the instantiation of all possible truths, and he holds all things together.
So are you kind of just joking?
No, I do this because your presupposition apologetics about your God, I can make the exact same presupposition about this, and it's equally as valid. Your presupposition about your God is only as valid as my rock, as only as valid as the thing that I put googly eyes on.
Okay, Justin, can I tell you why you're wrong?
Sure.
It's because an absolute entity who's both omnipresent and omniscient and omnipotent would not be condensed into a rock that you're holding up on a string.
Oh, okay, so God can't be condensed into a form that is material.
Not his essence.
Okay, so then Jesus isn't God.
Yeah, you're going to. I'm talking about.
So God has the power to materialize as a human being that poops and pees, but he can't materialize as a rock. Are you saying that God is limited, that he's not omnipotent?
No, listen, Justin, your rock is impersonal. Please tell me how your rock comes with math. How does your rock, its morality? It's your rock.
My rock gave us objective morals.
How does your rock instantiate logic and reason?
The same way your God does. How does your God instantiate morals? Because I tried to read some of the morals of the Old Testament with you, and you ran away from it. Ryan, did you run away because you know I was going to take you to slavery? Did you run away because you knew I was going to take you to the parts where God says women don't have consent over their own reproduction?
No, because I don't interact with people who are so arrogant in their hermeneutic.
He's running. He's terrified. This is what you're not going to learn in school.
Listen closely. What I say to you is you're invoking a standard by which you don't have a justification for yourself.
I do. So, Brian, here's the problem with your whole argument. I'm just going to cut to the chase. Your argument, you're saying that I believe a thing, and I have an explanation for a thing, and I don't like your particular explanation, so mine is right by default. But in order for yours to be right, you still need to support your worldview. Even if the atheistic worldview was wrong, which I don't think it is, but even if it was, it wouldn't mean that your God is real. You still need to provide an argument for why your specific God is real. And here's what I know about your specific God. He didn't fulfill any prophecies. You don't like his actual morals. The book that attests to his existence has contradictions, failed prophecies, bad history.
That is a problem in your worldview.
It is a problem. Do you think that the Bible is inerrant?
Why is that a problem?
Do you think that the Bible is inerrant?
I am not concerned with what I believe right now.
So Brian thinks that the problem, he doesn't want to say it. Okay, so the Bible is inerrant. Did I hear that correct? It is?
You did.
And what does it mean to be inerrant?
Without error.
Without error. Okay.
No, not in terms of being exhaustive.
You think you know about relationships, but you're wrong. Listen, there's no magic bullet. I'm teaching life skills.
You sick? You need medicine. It don't always taste good. But it'll get you better. You need this medicine. It ain't gonna always taste good, but this is what you need. Men and women, bottom line, we need to have the conversation. Your partner wants to give up control, but only if you know how to drive. This is about being the best you could ever be, whoever you are. I don't care if you're a man, a woman, LGBTQ, space aliens. I'll save anybody. I don't care. I'll teach a hedgehog how to have a threesome.
What do you mean by that?
Look, you don't have to listen to me, but you're wrong. Listen, I know I'm great. And I know you're thinking, Dante, there's no way I could be like you. But you could be me, you know why? Because you know who I was? Before I was me, I was you.
Man score 202. Better hear what I've got to say because you won't get it again.
I'm not an alpha male. I'm not a beta male either. I'm just a better man. Well, put your happiness first, because if you don't, they won't. Yo. GYBB, get your balls back. WWDD, what would Dante do? Sexual Revolutions being podcasted, and I'm excited. What's going on, y'all? I'm just giving it a little time so everybody can come in. Everybody who's coming in. I don't want them to miss nothing. I had to be at home today. Not feeling good, my people. Definitely not feeling good today. So there's that. Got a bit of a cold, and I'm heading out to London as of the end of this week. This weekend I'm going to London. So there's that. It is what it is. Got to do what it do, whatever that means. Big shouts to everybody in the building. I'm gonna really go in the in a minute. I'm gonna go in the chat, see who's in. If you hear me, you know what to do. Give me a what you call it in the what you call it. Give me a thumbs up. Let know. Make sure that I'm nice and clear. Please. I don't know what happened to me, man, but I caught a fever, and then I was just like jacked up. Couldn't get my shit together Sunday, I'm really trying to fucking get this done. Get my head right. So I want to go see my son. I'm excited about seeing my little man, hang out with him. I think we're gonna try and go horseback riding this week. So there's that. See if I can get him on the horses. Hopefully he'll dig that, man, because I always like that. Love riding horses. You know, that's weird for a Brooklyn dude to say, right? But so true. I used to ride every Sunday morning. So there's that. And it's always good to put things in perspective where, you're how should I put it? That you're exposing yourself and people to different things, Especially if you got a little man, you definitely want to expose your kids to stuff that they've never been exposed to. It absolutely, in my opinion, I believe it helps in an awesome way. Because I just think you get into a situation where you it's always easy. It's so often I come across dudes who listen to the show who have been, have certain insecurities and certain things that they haven't dealt with. And because they haven't dealt with it, it becomes a fear that they're dealing with. And a lot of times those fears, they manifest themselves in different ways, the shirts should be done soon. The store, I'm still working on the bugs in the story. uh uh what is Capo, call me. What is Corey talking about? If you want to call in, the phone lines are open. You can call in. Big shouts to them. Let me shout everybody out. First of all, got to shout out to my man Xavier. Thank you for the $5, family. I appreciate you. Eric Panaranda, is that right? Eric Parananda. Jingling 22. Capo, the good fellow. Hidden Pants in the chats. Wood Shredder. DJ Sneaker Freak. Shit. Everybody's coming in. Thumbs up. We sound good. That's good. I think Harry's coming in also. He just sent me a text message saying he's coming in. So there's that. So we're gonna double team, have him come in as soon as I see him in the thing, I guess we would say, by all intents and purposes. But I was saying, also the phone lines are open. Capo, if you're gonna call me in real quick before we get the show started. I want to know what's going on with Corey. What's Corey jumping out the window on? And that is my man. So, and I wouldn't mind talking about that too a little bit, because it should be talked about. Because I don't think we didn't shit on Corey at all. But Capo, if you sent the message on the in the chat, call up. I want to know what he's saying. I don't know if I know, because he usually does his show now anyway. So give me a holler, if anything. But this is something that I learned, that I taught myself. A lot of the stuff. So I don't want it to seem like my dad was a dude. We didn't get along a lot, but that guy was a lot of the stuff that I speak to y'all about on a regular basis is stuff that he taught me. One of the things he used to always tell me, look, you tell me to tell the truth, no matter what happens. When I ask you something, tell me the truth. He said, even if we got to make up a lie to keep you out of jail or whatever, you tell me the truth, and then I'll tell you what to say. But you got to be truthful to me. So, I mean, definitely had a slightly distorted perspective on that. But, I mean, we are in America where, rich people have defense and coverage on shit that other people don't have. But that's neither here nor there. He always kept the roof over my head. I have to agree with that. We never was hungry. We didn't always have heat. Sometimes the roof was leaky, but sometimes it would be me, my mom, my dad, in the house, freezing, all in the same bed, trying to keep each other warm. So we've had moments like that as well. We've also had moments where, in the hot summer, where we only could have. Okay, no problem, Capo. Don't worry about it. This said, damn. So let me put this up real quick. So Capo, the good fellow, sent me this. He says, damn, I can't call him at work still, but he's tripping about y'all talking about folks walking out on his show. So a guy was hating on him going back to the gay shit. Look, I feel like, what up, Top Shelf? I feel like the gay shit is the problem. The fact that he keeps going back and forth to the gay shit, I always feel like that's a problem. I think it's this is not the 90s where, Wendy Williams is talking about who's gay or who's not gay. And if you're found out to be gay or not gay, all of a sudden your career is over. So that's kind of weird, right? But I honestly don't think that Godfrey shitted on him really about people walking out on him. What I would say, so those who don't know and who's not on the, doesn't know the comedy inside stuff, they supposedly Mike Epps had a show with a bunch of killers on the show, and Corey went last, and they were walking, and some people walked out, or they were walking out. Now, to be in the defense of that, they weren't booing; they just was walking out. So let me explain something about comedy that other people. The comedy hype story. So the reason why the comedy hype story is comedy hype is on Corey's ass is because Corey's whole brand is that he gets at motherfuckers. He's always gonna call motherfuckers out, and him and I have had conversations about it. That is my man, 100 grand, 100%. I've said this to his face that sometimes he jumps to conclusions and maybe doesn't know the whole story and just starts, he'll start talking shit. And what up, Hal? You there?
Oh wait, jeez.
Can you hear me or no?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So, Corey jumps out the window. Sometimes he doesn't know. And so the minute Corey had a situation where Corey, they had something that they could shit on Corey. Look, man, that ball spot ain't going nowhere, Harry. I don't know.
I got to fix it on camera. What are you talking about?
It ain't going nowhere.
I got it.
So sometimes Corey jumps out the window. Todd Lim, that's funny. Todd Lim was a piece of garbage. Some people go away into the sunset. They should be out in the sunset. So that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, but, Todd Lynn wasn't very nice to people.
It was trash. But let me see. Yeah. So but Corey will jump out the window sometimes. And he'll jump out the window if he feels as though something's going down or he feels that there's some injustice or whatever. So
Corey's a big fire first, ask questions later type of guy.
Yeah, I mean he's impulsive. Put it like that.
Yeah.
Funny dude.
Funny dude.
Funny dude. But here's what happens when you have a show like that, and here's the thing about black shows in general, right? Nobody respects the light. If they've allotted 15 minutes apiece or 20 minutes apiece, nobody's doing. If somebody's killing and they're doing well, they're not getting off that stage until they get their full. And there's a lack of respect for the other comics.
If they're not doing well, that happens too.
Yeah. So if you're supposed to get 12 minutes and then you get the light, somebody flash the light, and then you get off, you're supposed to get off at 12. If you're killing, you ain't gonna get off. You ain't gonna OD. RSJ, this is a legendary story. RSJ filmed, what was it? Comic View.
Okay.
In the
Comic View,
early 2000s, and went up. There was other comics. Everybody's supposed to do 15-minute. RSJ does 45 minutes. Literally, the set that he did on the Comic View, they made it a special after the fun. They took that clip and they cut it into a special. Did 45 minutes, which is 3 times, maybe 4 times as much as what he was supposed to do. Actually, Godfrey was on that show. Godfrey and I can't think of who else was in. But you gotta understand, when you do a black show, if they're killing and they don't want to get off, they ain't gonna get off, and they're gonna tell you to kiss their ass to do it. It's a different mentality. Whereas when you're doing mainstream comedy, you got 15 minutes, you got to get off in 15 minutes. If you do Letterman, you have to submit, or not Letterman, but if you do Fallon, you have to actually submit your set. So anyway, Corey is probably one of the strongest black comics in the game. and that's why he was. Mike Epps asked him to close. The problem with that is the rest of the comics don't care. They don't have no respect for you closing. And not only that, but there's an ego tripping where they'll do something like that. They will murder the room just so that you could, as a way to
shit on you.
F you over. Yeah. So if you got a show, nobody's gonna watch a comedy show for 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
What are we referencing here, Dante? I did come in late here.
Corey did a show and they walked out. The people were walking out, and Comedy Hype filmed it, and then they went at him.
Was
and
it like
whatever.
A theater show? It was an
it was
show.
An arena. It was an arena.
Oh, okay. So it's one of those things where it was a 3-hour long show. Corey goes on at the end after everyone's beating the fucking audience to death. Yeah.
Man, I got to get to the babysitter. I got to get my car. I got to work in the morning. And so the people were like, people film working. And then there's other people who all they know is Mike Epps. Maybe they don't know Corey, or maybe they do know Corey, and they're like, so they showcased some people that posted stuff on Twitter, going, I don't know who it is, Kobe or whatever, or I don't know what I don't know what he was talking about. Is what they
I don't know this Cody Holcomb.
Yeah, it's just. So some goofy chick with eyelashes and baby hair is going, I don't know. We don't know. We walked out. And so Comedy Hype grabbed on it and crabs in a barrel and shitted on him. And as soon as I saw it, what I said was, I know Corey. Corey's a funny dude.
Right.
But when people are tired and they've had enough, you ain't going to do.
It just happened to Bill Burr.
Yeah,
if you remember,
in Philly,
Bill Burr in Philly on that Opie Anthony show. Yeah,
how about this? Right, because it was the virus tour, and so it was too long. Motherfuckers rowdy,
drunk. People have been day drinking in the fucking parking lot.
If you don't have comedy's a funny thing. If people are not listening, it ain't going. So they walked out. Comedy Hype jumped on it, did a whole
story on it,
video on it, because Corey be going at people. So they was like, okay, this is an opportunity to give Corey his comeuppance. But anybody who's a comic, first of all, anybody could bomb. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, given the right circumstances,
and catch a bad one. Anytime you think you got comedy figured out, it'll kick you in the dick and let you know you don't know shit. But especially on an arena tour, a black arena tour with Mike Epps, Tony Roberts, Carlos Miller, there was an internet dude and somebody else.
Oh, that's already way too many people.
Yeah. So it's like too many people.
Too many people. Long. Nobody respects the light. And so now Corey got to be the fucking designated hitter, and he's got to come up and do. He got to do whatever, 15, 20 minutes to get paid, and people are leaving. And it still did his time. Nobody booed him, which they could have booed him because of the fact that they weren't listening. And that's what, when audiences are tired, that's what you expect. Godfrey, I thought Godfrey gave him grace, though. I honestly gave him grace, but I mean, maybe Godfrey has a tendency to run his mouth and then and jokingly and so now, but then Corey was like, oh, I think he got something against me because maybe he's a fruit pop or whatever. So that's also a top hit of Corey Holcomb's is when in doubt, call somebody gay. At any point, Corey, if you get him into a corner, he'll go.
Or I ain't gonna lie. There's so many dudes I know that's blowing a tranny that I would have never thought gets down like that. That is, I can't tell you how many times I've come across that.
Well,
really?
Come across. Don't say come across.
And I'm trying to be liberal. I'm like,
listen, if
I'm happy for him.
If that's what you want to do, it's fine. But
that's always a slightly homophobic to say, hey, love is love, right? But when but I think it's more the fact that people are, and this goes back to the theme of the show. It's like you got to be your authentic self. You know what I mean? If you're not being your authentic self and you this tough guy, but you dibbling and dabbling on the freaky side, and somebody finds out, I can see how it would be a little bit.
It's problematic.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna say problematic, but surprising that be like, oh, really? You eat sea urchin? I've never tried that. So, whatever.
The comment I think that Frank was making over there, Corey, about to be the new Todd Lynn. You think? I think he meant as in the fact that he was an asshole, but no. Todd Lynn is such an ass. Corey Holcomb is nowhere near the category of Todd Lynn as far as being an asshole.
Yeah.
Todd Lynn is a class. I mean, who would you say is the second biggest asshole that we would encounter other than Todd Lynn? I'm trying to even think, right? I mean, he's in a category all alone.
I don't know anybody that is so fucking off the hook
to that level.
That just with a level of disdain for people and cutthroat with the intention on hurting people's careers. But God bless the dead. Not anyway. But phone lines are open, y'all. 929-269-4922. It's a little comedy banter or whatever. But shout out to Corey. Because I ain't say nothing because I just don't think that
well, you don't think Corey kind of got a raw deal in that situation?
Yeah, and I ain't gonna lie, if Corey was around me, I would fucking smash Corey we would make fun of her because that's what we do as comics.
Sure.
So, but it was, I didn't like the fact that they would like.
Well, they're treating it as if Corey was. It's a hit piece. It was a hatchet job.
And that was because he went at them, and they were like, okay.
Well, you call balls and strikes. We call balls and strikes, and you're just, Someone had a question in the chat since you don't. JR said, I can't call in right now, but what do you all think about depression and overcoming it?
JR, this is a thing like this. I don't want to. I'm not a therapist. I don't have any credentials to really tell you about depression. I have my opinions about it, and I'll get to that. But I just want to be clear. I always say you should deal with trained professionals when it comes to this, and understand something. Just because somebody's got a degree doesn't necessarily make them a good trained professional, even if they are a trained professional. Make sense?
Yeah, there's levels of it. There's definitely levels to it. I think you'd agree that it's a real thing. Depression is a real thing. And it's not just as easy as stop being a bitch, which is the method that we grew up with, which was, just tough it out and stop being a bitch. It's a real thing.
Sure. It's a real thing.
It's a real thing, and it needs treatment. You have to find out the root causes of it. Sometimes medication, there's chemical imbalances.
There's a lot of stuff. I mean, Harry's way more nuts than me. So.
That's one way to put it. Yeah. So you're not a therapist? Is that what you say? You're not licensed?
Yeah.
It sounds like you're that medical jargon. Harry,
you had what? What's your condition?
I have ADD.
Other than bonkers, we call it bonkers. But
I have ADD, and then also a smidge of bipolar disorder, which is also, all of that leads to the depression. So technically, I guess I don't take something specifically for depression, but it's all sort of a Venn diagram and a hodgepodge of mixture. It's not one or the other. It all kind of melds together. But I take medicines for it, and it absolutely helps. Finding the right one, so.
And you went through a couple of processes of a few different medications, a few different doses and stuff like that. And sometimes it's the counseling. What I will say is this: something that's always helped me is forcing myself to get up off my ass and do stuff, like being active.
It helps, going out helps.
When you have when we talk about something like laying the 5 bricks, I mean, that is one of the things is that, just staying busy. I mean, because you can really, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to be disrespectful as if I've seen people be so depressed that they can't get out of bed, but being active, stepping up and doing the things and achieving the things, especially if the depression comes from, a lack of success. A lot of times we're not where we want to be and so on and so forth, but it's a lot more. I always believe in, staying active as much as we can.
There's different things that can help it. Staying active is important. Going out. I know I feel even when I'm depressed and I have shows and things and I go out, I find myself talking to people and I do end up feeling better. Just because you have that the dopamine and the adrenaline. So working out, even if you're depressed, can sometimes, give you a different energy boost. But definitely, but I'm not suggesting that lifting weights is a substitute for actual therapy, although that we probably have a lot of podcasters, alpha male podcasters, who would tell you just eat deer liver or whatever.
Yeah.
And but you talk to a psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist is medications.
Yeah,
and
psychiatrists or medications, and a
psychologist
is talk therapy, psychological.
therapy.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've done
But
both.
I definitely think it's staying busy and staying on the schedule and kind of moving forward definitely
and
helps.
And stop being
if
a
you
bitch.
can.
And also stop being a bitch.
Stop being a bitch. Step up and.
You might have seen my new book, New York Times bestseller, Stop Being a Bitch.
Stop being a bitch. I have. It's in the second run now. So
yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. I want to ask you about this, Dante, if you don't have something else to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead. I always got something, but go ahead.
I don't know if you saw the clips going around with Bill Belichick and his sporty young girlfriend, right? So this has been going on for about a year. Bill Belichick is I forget how old he is, but his girlfriend is 24, and he is there's a 49-year age gap between him and his hottie girlfriend. And so apparently she's just kind of running things for him now. Like it's to the point where he's got a new coaching job, I think at like North Carolina State or something like that. And he's asked that the university make sure they CC his girlfriend on all the emails. In regards to it. And then she's there acting as his publicist. And so, I want to know.
I ain't gonna lie, nothing like a little youngin', something a little pretty to look on. You laying in the bed, nice little baby doll with a little booty stinging out, with some booty. Don't want the booty. Little booty hanging out the covers is always a nice pick me up. I mean, Belichick looks happy as fuck. So, and I feel like, I mean, who am I to say if it's sincere or it's not sincere? I mean, Belichick goes down as one of the greatest coaches ever.
Sure.
Maybe she got a thing for old people. Hey, I love some little people. Shout out to Kenny Josephs. He don't touch nothing unless it's 250.
No, heavyweight division only.
He's super heavyweight. He starts at super heavyweight. I remember being Kenny Joseph's friend of the show, comic, funny dude. I remember him, and he like him goofy too. I remember us being somewhere, and he's licking his lips, boy. And I'm like, I'm trying to see what he's looking at, and he
goes, I don't know what you're looking at. There's I think that big bitch is in the way.
Is she behind her? Not only is she big bitch, but she had polka dot tights on, white and blue polka dot, like white tights with blue polka dots. She had a halter top, belly out, and she had a bow on her head, like big as the bow would look like. It was like a sign for a dry cleaners, like huge bow,
massive bow, like a big Minnie Mouse style,
sitting on top of her head. And Kenny was like, I was like, what are you looking at? The one behind the big bitch? she was extra large mini.
Oh boy.
And he was like, no, I'm talking about the big bitch. I was like, all right, well, so my point is everybody everybody got their own thing, and
Yeah, they have their own thing. But do you think it's is there a situation where this guy is losing control of
who
it? Bill Belichick.
who
Because now
cares?
she's involved in everything. Yeah.
Who cares?
Who cares?
How old is that dude?
I don't
How
know, is it
Google
70s?
how old. First of all, Bill Belichick is known for cheating on the fucking.
Yeah, but only in football, though.
Yeah, well,
Only in football. 73 years old, Bill Belichick.
Yeah, dog. I mean, look, if he can ride this out with this cutie for if he gets another 7 out of this, it's a win, baby.
Yeah, but I mean, is it good that she's shutting down questions in the middle of his interview?
Yeah,
you don't
73.
Care.
I mean, I don't know. What do you think? 73?
It's not 73, 18. I don't know. I didn't know there was age
She's
limits
blowing
to it all.
him. If she's got to be blowing him and fucking him, whatever.
Here's the problem with that, Dante. If you go by, hey, if I'm getting blown, everything is fine. How many guys do we know?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, here's a guy is on the swan song of his life, right? When he's playing, what is he doing? With Little League, he's coaching Little League football.
Division I football. Yeah, it's a legitimate school.
He's coaching flag football somewhere, and he's got a hot little 20 minutes.
He's coaching historical white universities. That's what he's.
Well, yeah. I mean, so he's getting a check. He's bestowing some wisdom on them. And look, and if it falls apart, dude, look, I get it. He's 73, man. You gotta know this is a come up for her, right? She's 23. If she puts in the time, sucking on his fucking wrinkled balls, look, good on you, sweetie. Do what you gotta do. So,
I guess, but for everyone to deal with it, I think. I don't know. I think there's plenty of guys who do that, though, and I don't think it's a great move overall. You know what I mean?
We'll see when you get 73. And you
I guess, but listen, so
you on your swan song pounding out a 20-year-old, and she's a cutie too. I wish I know how to. I'm not. You know what? I don't even want to fuck up and.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We'll
bring it up.
She's attractive. No one's saying she's not attractive. Yeah,
is a cutie. So
I think she's your type because she's a Megan Fox-ish.
Yeah, she's bad a little bit. But,
you like him Greek looking, I think. You like him. That's your jam. You like him Mediterranean-ish looking.
Yeah, like I would turn down Selma Hayek.
Yeah.
Look, I like him. I like him.
I understand.
You know what I mean? I like him.
Who you talking to? I don't know. There's, we do EDI in my bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, and that's DJ says the price is right. Well, Let's Go Cards says the price is right. And DJ says it comes down to women use men for. Look, there's always, like we talk about this all the time. This is like relationships are really easy. Just know what your non-negotiables are and never negotiate them. And so I think he's got enough money. He's got money. I'm quite sure he has a trust for leaving money to his kids. He's gonna leave this chick with a nice little chunk of change. He could do it here. He don't even have to go to Thailand. He can do it right here.
Well, there you go.
Teach flag football, whatever, and 7 years. God bless him. God bless him. But the Shannon Sharp thing now, on the other hand, is just some clown ass shit. You fucking around with this 23-year-old. I mean, she's 20 something years, 22, 21, and you know that this chick ain't got a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out of. You fucking around with this chick and you don't have no NDA, no disclosure, like you just rocking out when, Shannon Sharp just lost $100 million deal.
Yeah.
$100 million deal. Podcast deal. Because he just figured it was all going to be good. I mean, now look, I'm not judging him. Look, how many times have we watched Cher date some 20-year-old dude? Nobody Nobody had nothing to say about that. Madonna's been, she's been crib robbing. She raised some kids from Africa and then fucked them. We
don't know that for a fact. Hold on.
She's growing her own.
Allegedly, I don't need to get sued for
growing
this.
her own dicks, whatever. But
she has a farm system. You're saying?
Yeah, man. She brings them up the league, the minors from the minors.
Someone wrote that nut cost $100 million. That's a fair assessment. I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
That's an expensive nut.
It's so ridiculous because look, and I'm not saying she don't like him, but here's the I'm not saying she don't like him, but she, I know she didn't like him up front. I know on the front end, she was it was a come up.
How do you know that? What was the situation with that?
I mean, she's an OnlyFans model. She was 19, 20 years old, OnlyFans. It
Not
was
a great start.
Nobody 20 years old is, listen, I'm 58. I'm not saying I can't pull it down, but look, I don't really want no 20. I don't have the patience. But I'm going to tell you what happens too. And this is something that is interesting to talk about. I guarantee you, Shannon Sharp was down south, right? And he was down south. Lot of colorism down south.
Sure.
Shannon Sharp got a nose that looks like a fist, right?
Now I gotta Google. This is all right. Go on.
And he
how you gonna treat Unc like that?
Listen, Shannon Sharp's 55. He's a young fella to me, so he better call me young.
That's fair.
So,
that's a why. That is a big nose. That's a why I never noticed the nose until you pointed that out, and now I can't unnotice it. It is a wide nose.
Yeah. So, I mean that now you go back into my era. You dog skin with a lot of colorism was in place. And on top of that, you could breathe underwater. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, he had a rough time with women.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there was some difficulty. Yeah.
And
now that he's, now he can make up for the past. I get that.
But you don't. This is the thing. You still carry that
stigma.
You still carry a stigma, like when you go. I mean, what you call it? It's funny. I don't know if you know Tommy Sotomayor.
Tommy Sotomayor,
Tommy, right? He's a big internet dude.
That name is familiar. Tommy Sotomayor.
Doesn't matter. I mean, he used to shit on black women a lot about and whatever. But a lot of it, and don't get me wrong, smart dude, but was a guy who went through a rough time because wasn't attractive. And Patrice talked about that, where like when he was coming up, he didn't get this opportunity, and so you get now all of a sudden you're charismatic and you're because you think it's all about looks, and it's really yes, I'm not saying that looks are not, how you look is not a variable, but I mean everything's a variable, right? Everybody, whenever you see any documentary or you hear people talk about Biggie was a smooth, fat motherfucker with a cock eye, with a dead eye. And he stayed pulling bad chicks all the time. They were just so enamored by his personality. So, don't get me wrong. If you got a six pack and you look like John Stamos or whatever, I mean, you're gonna have an easier time. But if you got a big shout, hold on one sec. Thanks for the $10 from Edwin Colazzo. Also, thanks for the cash app with Xavier. Thank you so much. Oh, Xavier's always on point, right? Xavier hit me with the $5 before I started the show. So
there you go.
But you have these things that we carry this this pain with us through childhood, and then it plays itself out later on in our lives. And so then, so now all of a sudden, big shout to Clyde in the chat and Dira. Thanks for calling in, and Dira, as always. The Knicks are playing. New York Knicks. Oh shit! Thank you, darling. I appreciate you. And Dira's on point. What's the score of the Knicks? How are they playing now? What's the score? And Dira, send me the score.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt some numbers here, but that's all right.
We're
here.
We're actually doing good on the live.
Yeah.
Big shout to Theo. Thank you for the $5, Theo. Send me some money, y'all.
And we finish this up with the Shannon Sharp thing. I think Edwin has a question that he, as part of the super chat, which I don't want to forget about. But
okay.
Anyway, so you're saying with Shannon Sharp, he's going through all this stuff.
You get this trauma, and then you get to be an older person, and then you carry that with you.
Have that trauma with you because you haven't dealt with it. Yeah.
Because the girl is cute, but she's a regular smuggler. She's not a killer, like either. But this is an opportunity where he gets into an opportunity. But here's the thing. You're worth millions of dollars. She's 21 years old. I don't care what you think about her looks. She's got the best of the deal. You are going to take her places that she's never gone. You're going to do things you never did. You're going to have to spend money you never spend. This is clearly a come up for him. Him being with her is not the come up. So for him to ask for an NDA or for him to talk about the parameters of the job, it also seemed to me like they were into a little BSDM or
BDSM,
BDSM. So it seemed like they was into that with the choking thing. And when you take that out of context, God knows how Harry would be arrested.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to say that I haven't engaged. And there were times where I was worried about being pulled over and having my trunk searched, and I have to explain. They're like, "What's all this?" Well, no, officer. There's a it's a misunderstanding. Yeah. It's for tying up a lady.
Oh, okay. No, all right. Well, have a good night.
Tying and restraining a lady.
Have a good night. Have a good night.
Thank you. I don't want there to be any confusion.
So just be clear that you carrying these. We carry these insecurities, and if you don't have somebody to help you get through it, you ain't
did
gonna
one
get
time
through it.
have a girl who wanted to do what they now refer to as consensual non-consensual, which is role playing, essentially, right? Role playing of a grape play, as we could say.
Okay, got you.
And I was like, yeah, you got to text me that. I made her text it to me.
Let me know.
Yeah. I go, you got to text me that because I can't. I don't want there to be any misunderstanding here.
Now, 2000, you'd have just went for it. Prior Me Too, you'd be like, come on over. Let me sock you in the mouth. But but the real thing is the insecurity. Also, don't forget, book a session. There's a way to get past that. Book a session, DanteNero.com. We can fix that. That's something I know how to fix. Also, the phone lines is open. Let's get to that. What's the comment?
Oh, the comment that Edwin had?
Yeah, Edwin Colazzo, he says, no relationship problems, but love the show. Ever consider a political episode at least once a week? You have a pretty sharp perspective. Keep up the great work. I actually am gonna do it, but I'm probably gonna do it on the Dante Nero channel, not the Man School channel.
Right now it's just restricted to phone calls that I get during the week.
Yeah, me screaming at you.
Dante does the show during the week and explains to me, it always starts out with some goofy shit that happened. Then he explains to me how white people stole it from black people. I mean, it's always true, but I mean, no matter what it is, like they're trying to outlaw the slinky. Did you know that they stole that from a black man, a black factory worker? The best one we talked about was the, you said you watched a documentary about like black rollerblading or black roller skating. And then they did a whole thing about how they had segregated roller rinks in the South.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like the notion of like black people can't have anything. Why do you need to get it on the roller? That's a thing I bet you they didn't even know that they wanted to have until they saw black people doing it.
I didn't even know this was a thing. Oh, and Dara said the Knicks 49-50. The Knicks are ahead by 1. Big shouts. But the thing about it was that so it's not skating as much as like we don't like black people congregating.
We don't want them having fun, getting together. That's all it was really about.
And you know, black people, when they do it big, they gonna do it. They gonna do it big. Now you got lights on the skates. You got special skates. You got special gear, hot pants, and scarves to match your hot pants. So what they did was to create the to segregate is they wouldn't play black music. So
who wouldn't play black music?
The rinks, the white rinks.
Oh, they would to get rid of the black people. They would just not play black music.
Fight for your right to party. And then what's up, Woody? What the fuck this? So then what happened was they would just bring headphones. Black people would. You can't look. You're not gonna stop black people. They would bring headphones. And they would just be skating to their own shit with the headphones.
Hilarious.
They outlawed the headphones.
It's like a Yosemite Sam trying to stop Bugs Bunny situation. That's wild. It's just so sad. You can't do nothing. Just have no fun. We can't have these black people smiling.
They use trick wheels with these small wheels. They outlawed those wheels. You can't use those wheels
at the rink.
Then you could, and then black people would take the stoppers off the skates so that they could dance and do tricks. They was like, oh, you can't skate without stoppers. And then they would just literally close the roller skating rinks down rather than give black people. I mean, they did that. You know, they did that with public pools, right?
Sure. They closed a bunch of things. There was, I forget what, there was a guy named, I think it was Lester Maddox or whatever. There was a guy who just shut his restaurant down. Rather than serve black people, he goes, I'm just going to shut it down.
But like you shut down the public pool because all that black ink is just seeping out of those pores, right? Just turning that pool water into ink. So they all of the public pools were shut down because black folks would not.
Wow,
they didn't want black folks to. So I'm definitely on some I got to do some. I have to do a political outlet because it's driving me crazy. I need to talk about that. But yeah, that's crazy when you think about the segregation in terms of that. And what I realize also is that like if this is something that you don't experience on a day-to-day, I mean, Harry has been around me easily 20 years.
Yeah.
And Harry's seen some funky shit.
Sure.
But even he's surprised. Like I was like, and I call it, I still surprise him with shit. He always recovers by saying, "Oh well, yeah, figures," but
that depends what it is. Yeah, I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
surprised that racism exists.
No.
I'm not surprised that somebody has a bad experience with cops. That's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, really?
Well, it's what's also is this. If you think about it, there's also this fetishization of black male sexuality. I mean, come on, who don't like a little interracial bing with a huge fucking sausage, veiny sausage plowing away? I mean,
the whole thing that everybody's referencing cuck chairs now. That's a big trend to insult somebody.
What is it?
A cuck chair, I guess, would be the chair that you sit to watch your wife have sex with another man.
Yeah.
They call it a cuck chair.
Why
is your chair always facing the bed? Things like that.
Why do you have your penis in a cage? It's what are you wearing? Penis cuffs. Big shout to RSX32A. Thank you for the $10, bro. It's what advice do you have for a guy who's been on a winning streak with great momentum, but is currently going through the roughest down period for a while? Now, Doug, I mean, it just happens. But I think what happens though, hold on, we'll deal with that in 1 second. Remind me to get that.
All right, we'll get back to that. Let me get my notebook.
Come on.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
There we go. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yo, Dante. It's Kevin. What's up?
What's up, Kev? What's going on? How can I help you, brother?
I'm good. What's up, Harry? Looking good, by the way.
Hey, Kevin. What's going on, bud?
What's up? So I have a date on Friday. So I know I'm gonna have to like time travel, but I'm wondering what other tips you guys have when it comes to that.
What tips?
Okay, let me ask you something. Let's go over this. You okay? So because I don't know if we've gone through I haven't seen Dre Boogie in a while, Mel. But what do you know about time traveling? What's your impression? What is your understanding of what time travel is?
It's like having multiple dates, but in one to kind of like yeah.
Okay, but do you understand what the objective is?
I guess to just show how interesting you are.
Yeah, but it also is
the idea that time traveling is that you go to several locations so that it feels more like several dates instead of one date. So it kind of moves along the progression of whatever connection you're making, whether you're hooking up with her or not. So she feels more comfortable with you if you're trying to hook up, if it's going that way, or just more comfortable in general because it feels like it's more dates as opposed to one long date, which at the first date, the girl has is very hesitant to do anything on just a single date.
Okay, so
it's about making her comfortable.
It's also it's not just comfort though. It's also to escalate the seduction. Like for instance, we talk about when you first like. How do I put this? Okay, I've counseled dudes early on, and guys would go out on a date, and then they would not touch the girl. Like there would be literally no physical contact for the whole date.
Okay.
Right?
And then when you go in for a kiss at the end of the night.
And then when you go for the kiss, you go for the good night kiss at the end of the date. You're asking her to do this huge intimate leap from not having any contact where you're talking and you're communicating. So even if the date is going well, you're communicating, but you're going from no touch to touch, right?
You're going from 0 to 60.
So have you time traveled before?
Oh yeah, plenty of time.
Okay, so one of the things that I say is that the first thing, like what I do is when you meet up for the date. Now, have you spoke on the phone?
Yeah, we did Monday. Yeah, yesterday.
How many times have you spoke on the phone?
Just that one time.
And you when did you meet her? Yesterday?
No, this is over Facebook dating. So I haven't met her yet.
How many weeks has this been going
on? So I just linked up with. I'm sorry, not linked up. Matched with her, I think Friday.
Okay.
Texted her that same day, so Monday.
Okay, so you want to get as many phone calls because you can also you got to understand these you have an objective because maybe you want to smash, but what you also want to do is you don't want to Shannon Sharp it. You don't want to be in a situation where you are getting in a situation with somebody who you don't like. And how old are you? You sound young. How old are you?
31.
Okay, so there's a situation where the younger you are, you don't even consider. Big shout to Angela Washington. Thank you so much. Angela says, aloha, happy Tuesday. Always great seeing you both. Thank you so much.
It's very sweet. Thank you, Angela.
But the point of it is even the conversation. All of this is is preparatory. It's sort of like a crock pot. Like you gotta cut the vegetables, you put the water in, you put the seasonings, you turn it up. It's a slow cook, and part of that slow cook is the conversation. But the conversation is not just so that you can objectively create the situation where there's a sexual energy. It's also for you to find out whether or not you even want to go out with her. I know that might be beyond your scope at 30 years old, but I mean, I've met baddies where I had conversations with them and just decided that I didn't want to go out with them because I just, you learn how to read the signs where it just doesn't. You just know it's not going to be a good thing. But that's a big that's a big jump. But what you want to do is when you meet the girl, the first thing, oh, hey, how you doing? So good to meet you. You lead the date. You try your best to lead the date off with a hug.
Okay.
Hug that you're already. So it's like there's almost a understanding because if she hasn't, because you got to understand something is that it's uncomfortable. For her too, but you got to understand if you want to be king in the castle, you want to be captain of the ship. You gotta drive, and so you're setting the tone. So you go, hey, it's so good to me. I'm so excited about us hanging out, and a hug, nothing creepy, just a hug. Boom, boom, boom. Now you've already broken that first barrier, right? So as you're going through the time travel, every venue that you go to, you escalate the physical touch. So it comes from a very honest and kind of safe hug to something where you're holding hands, then maybe your arm is around her, maybe there's a kiss on the forehead or kiss on the cheek, or there's a rubbing in it. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to, as every venue that you go to, you're escalating the sexual touch, right?
Right.
Here's the thing. I don't care if you straight as an arrow, right? But if somebody ties you to a gurney and three gay guys blow you, they will blow you enough to get you you will eventually get an erection.
Corey Holcomb.
It is what it is, dog. It is what it is. I'm not experienced with, but we're talking about at some point in time, it becomes about the physical, just the friction and the physical touch, even if it's not what you want. Anyway,
other tips. He was asking about some other tips. The one thing I would recommend is picking something that's at least a couple activities that are high energy, locations that are high energy, because it creates a level of energy and excitement, right? So I mean, I made the mistake a couple times of taking a girl to a nice romantic restaurant, which is nice in theory, except it's very romantic restaurants are very low energy, and so you want her to feel excited. It's again creating that atmosphere. So if she feels excited or her adrenaline's pumping, she connects that with you because you're also there making the adrenaline pump. So whether it's something like ping pong or arcades or whatever.
She connects the excitement to you. So it's funny because I remember like I used to talk about this sex toy vibrator called a Hitachi Magic Wand. And I would say if you're gonna delve into, sex toys, I would always say this is on a base level, that's the one you start with, right?
Start with.
Yeah, you start with that.
What?
There's nothing else. Nothing.
It's
I could have had a V8. You know what I mean? I could have had a V8.
Isn't that the one that numbs or something like that?
So, but my point being is the difference is when you have that with a girl, I've also given girls it as a gift. When you give it with a girl, they kind of feel sacred. It's kind of a thing between you and them, right? When a guy gets it, he sponges it off and uses it on everybody he can use it on. So the difference is the way men and women think are prospectively different. If it's a great date and it's excitement, she attributes the date to you. If it's a great date, I'm gonna take another bitch to this next time. That's how guys think. So, but also here's another big tip: don't move from venue to venue as quickly as possible.
You said do not move.
Move. Don't like. So a lot of times is
Okay.
let's say the first venue is like you're going to get a drink, right? Let's go get a drink, right? You start off there. You go to a place, a bar that people that you frequent, that people know you. You go in such and such. She has a drink. You say, "Come on, we gotta go. We got things to do." You're rushing her out of that from that first drink. Like you want to move as quickly as possible. A lot of times when you get guys who are a little insecure, they will time travel, but then they will put themselves in a position while I'm at this venue and this is going really well. We're really vibing, right? So you don't want to move to the next venue because you're playing to lose. You're playing to not lose instead of win. You don't want to do that. You want to play to win. So I've had people who I've counseled where they were doing the time travel, where they would take the girl to the first venue, and because it was going so well at the first venue, they wouldn't go to the second venue. And then what ultimately happens is once it fizzles out, so they'd be 2 hours at the next venue, and then they'd be like, "Oh, you want to go?" Then when it starts to fizzle out, then they want to go to the next venue, and then the girl is all tuckered out, or you lost the momentum. So you want to move quickly from each. You're better off rushing from one venue to next than sitting in the pocket and losing the momentum. Does that make sense?
That's a good tip.
Yeah. So you're moving even if you go for one drink at this first bar. You go, you done? She's like, well, I'm not even finished with my drink yet. We're like, all right, well, come on, hurry up, let's finish up, let's go. And you're moving and shaking, so it's like, okay, all right. So now it's a thing where first of all, you're exhibiting a level of control because you're moving the date on in a quick fashion. Number two, you're also showing dominance because you're in control of everything. And now she's like, oh, well, what are we doing now? And so it creates this level of excitement. So you want to make each stop. You're better off, and so now when you're moving through each station of you're moving through each station of attractiveness, right? Not attractive, of attraction, and you're becoming more physical. It becomes more exciting, and so it's like, okay, and so now let's say, for instance, you move in the course of say 2 hours, you've gone to 5 different venues. I mean, that's a little extreme, but she's never gonna go. Wake up, Harry. Wake up, Harry.
I'm listening, bud.
She's never gonna go to a date where she's gonna go to 5 different venues in the course of 2 hours. So imagine what she's gonna tell her best friend or a girlfriend. Man, I went on this date when we went for this place for a drink, and then we went listen to live music, and then we went to a comedy club, and we went to a comedy club, and then we left there, and then we went to go eat. We ate this, and then we went to dessert for someplace else, and then we went for another drink, and then he took me home, and then we went upstairs and we fucked. It's think about that, what that feels like, and this is the great thing about when we talk about empathy. If you put yourself in the place of a woman like that, and you think about the traditional date that somebody's going to go on. All right, let's go to dinner, and then we'll go a movie, and then I guess I'll take you home. It's such a
boring.
Yeah, it's boring. Those other things are just going to be so much more boring, and so that would be the tip that I would give you.
Dante, let me ask you this though, because I know on a couple of occasions we've talked about like the first date is something that you don't know this person, right? So do they earn all of that stuff? We've said it before, like doing coffee dates first just to get to know this person, right? I mean,
yeah, that all depends on what. I mean, look, with a coffee date, you ain't gonna. If you're gonna do a coffee date and it be a couple of minutes and you just meet and talk, you can do that too. But what I'm saying, if you if I like somebody and I'm with them, I'm making moves. So I mean, if you don't, if understand this is also, the date is to gain intel. I hate to say it in that manner, but it is to gain intel and figure out where she, get to know her, so that you have information, so that you know how to create that chemistry, which is the word that Harry hates so much. But the chemistry is your ability to know and to predict, and but it's not really, you're not really predicting, because what you're doing is, while you're having these conversations, you're asking her open-ended questions that give her an opportunity to express what she is, and what she is. And so you'll be like, she was like, oh, I just love M&Ms. And then the next time you go out on a date, you take it to the M&M store, whatever. Like, you're constantly gaining a dossier, like you would be profiling a serial killer. Like, you'll be able to say, young lady, 32 years old, fat ass, big titties, lives at home with her mom. You know what I mean? Like, you
At this
literally
point,
can do
Dante,
that.
when he looks at a woman, it's like remember the Terminator, where Schwarzenegger would size down everything. 36 triple Ds.
But you want to do is, you want to move, but you got to understand something. The real gift that you got in doing this is that you got to be able to you got to be trying to get to know her too, because and not just because you're trying to get laid, you're trying to also decide whether or not she's worth your time. Because who she is and how she responds to this is going to tell you everything you need to know about this chick, or a lot of whether or not she's compatible, whether you even gonna like her. You could tell. I mean, there's a way you could tell whether a chick is going to be a good lay or not by the way you kiss her, how she kisses. And don't get me wrong, that's always different. It's always different, because a woman is a direct reflection of the guy she's fucking with, or the guy she's with.
Yeah.
But you're giving her a stimuli, and you're watching how she responds, and you're recording those response. You're talking to her with open-ended thing. What one of the things that I would say, do you love your job? What do you work at? What's your job? And if you could do anything in the world, what would be your dream job? And then you can infer, because I've never met a woman that doesn't want to talk about herself. And that's, honestly, I never met anybody who don't really want to talk about themselves. When one of the things that we find most attractive about women is the fact that they like us. It's that they like us. And so we all, men, women, and we all want interest. Go ahead, Harry, you were going to say something.
Well, someone in the chat actually asked an interesting question about this. Oil Per asked, does that set the bar high for the next 3 dates? And I think that's an interesting question.
That's a good question. Yeah.
It all depends. Look, here's the thing. I think that
do you have to keep doing that?
It doesn't have to be. It also doesn't have to be everything the way you're spending a shitload of money. So you could be in a bar, right? And let's say you go to the bar and you do 3 drinks. What if you did 3 drinks in 3 different bars? Even if you're just bar hopping, it could be something. But I mean, if you wanna move from the situation where this is somebody who you don't know to somebody who is who you're sleeping with, that's how you get there. You can always decide whether or not they're worth your time or whatever. And then don't get me wrong, there's also a situation where you start to get to know somebody and you start to do things that you want to do, as opposed to doing things as this, this interim kind of exploratory level, But you got to be honest and you got to be sincere about that. So, but I mean, you should be time traveling the first few times. That's how you gonna get in the drawers. I mean, I hate to put it like that, but that's how you get in the drawers. Understand something. Anytime you're talking to a girl, she has to come up with every reason why not to sleep with you, right? But she has to come up. But once she slept with you, she has to come up with every reason why she did. So keep that in mind. Does that make sense?
That's perfect sense. Appreciate all the tips.
All right, brother.
I have one more quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So with all this Shannon Sharp stuff, do you think BDSM is going to be like taboo nowadays?
Do I think who's going to be what?
Do you think BDSM will be something that's going to be like taboo moving forward?
No. I mean, people been tying each other up. I mean, Harry's been tying people up since he was in high school. So,
well, not high school. I wish high school. I had the gear, but I never. Yeah, but I've been doing it for a long time. Sure, yeah. I don't think it goes away. I think it's just people. It's never been more out in the open and a public thing. It's just how people are going to deal with these things are going to be different from now on. Like, especially for someone like Shannon Sharp, I think it's less of a BDSM problem and it's more of a celebrity rich person, NDA type of problem or clarity type of problem.
But he's an old head. He shouldn't have got caught up in that. He should have made that clear. And he knew he was to come up, but he never had this conversation because he didn't want to have the conversation and then it fall apart. But that comes to a level of low self-esteem. But I think Doug, I mean, if you think about how homophobic hip hop was, and you literally have hip hop artists who are openly dating trans women now, right? But I think anything goes, man. Anything goes, And I mean, this is a hell of a transition for me because, man, I grew up when hip hop was the most homophobic, and it's like it's wide open. I think what happens more so now is people bitch about the dishonesty more than they bitch about the preferences, So I don't think I also don't think that I think with the internet and the way people's fan base grows and the way that happens nowadays, he may lose this deal, but if he's still pulling these numbers, if he still can pull those numbers, I guarantee you they will absolutely, he'll get the deal. He'll get another deal. Somebody will throw another deal at him because it's all about the money,
Fair enough. Thanks for your guys' input.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon. Let's see.
Let's go back to.
I want to go back to that
comment. Yeah. That comment from RSX 32A.
This is the time when you should be laying the bricks. This is when we go back to the basics.
The question is, what advice do you have? What advice do you have for a guy who's been on a winning streak with great momentum, but is currently going through the roughest down period for a while?
Here's the secret that I don't say a lot of times, and I'm gonna make it clear today. You never stop laying the 5 bricks. Like if you're out there and even if you got a girlfriend, you should be laying the 5 bricks, even if you're laying the 5 bricks with a platonic intention, because there's only way that you can maintain a level of social confidence is by talking to people. So you go right back to the 5 bricks, laying the 5 bricks, and start doing it all over again, and you'll get these opportunities. There's the only reason why you hit nobody. I don't ever see somebody win and then they end up in the down period. It's because you're not doing the work. There's no way you could tell me that he's laying the 5 bricks and he has a down period. I mean, I've said this.
I blame the tariffs myself. I don't know.
It probably is. It might be the tariffs. It might be. You know what? There's a lot of people are affected. People are affected by a lot of shit. So lay the 5 bricks. Go back to the basics. And if you go back to the basics, if you consistently go back to the basics, you always will be okay. It always comes back to you. It always comes around. I mean, there's times when you're not. When you're not taking into consideration and the confidence in which you deal with stuff is, why is this not ringing? I'm going to try and get it anyway. It's popping up. I get a phone call, but it's not. I don't know if it's going to. Okay. Yeah.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
George, what's going on?
Hey, Dante, how you doing, man?
All right, make sure you turn the internet off. I can hear echo in the background.
There we go. How's that?
All right.
Is that better?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. One second before you hit me. So just to clarify, you got to go back to the basics and lay the 5 bricks, and everything will just fall back into place. You know, I don't know about you, but Harry, have you ever been in a situation where you're in a slump and you just couldn't pick up the pieces? What usually, if you're in a slump, it's because you're not doing what you should be doing.
Yeah, when I think after my roster, I was never in the slump. I just transitioned into a relationship. But if I recall, if there was any lulls or anything, you just start redoing what you were doing before, or changing things up, or making more of a concerted effort, like going back to the dating apps if that's what it takes, changing the dating apps, or changing your bios and things like that, trying different things. So, but ultimately going back to the basics, what you've done before. So I think, laying the 5 bricks is not a bad idea. It's the same thing, fighters do when they're on a losing streak, or hitters do. Okay, let's go back to the basics to readjust everything.
You got to train. And if you're doing that all the time. Anyway, George, what's going on, bro? How can I help you?
Yeah, Dante, how's everything?
I'm good, bro. What's going on?
I mean, always got to say, like, I did my 5 bricks, like, back in the day. It went down exactly as you always talk about. Like, after about 7-8 weeks, you really slip and fall into it. Like, that's real. That like, I can say that actually fucking happened. So, but yeah, I mean, where I am now, like, we many years down the road, I've got a little more experience, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I had to kind of like slow myself, because I saw myself hitting the same pattern in like kind of relationships and dating. Like, I kept like kind of hitting like a wall when it comes to like maybe intimacy, maybe things get a little too close or too real. And I noticed myself, kind of freaking out. So, trying to take accountability on my actions, right? Or my reactions.
Right.
So I started getting into sessions with my mom, like therapy sessions.
Okay.
Because I noticed like mine and her relationship ain't good. Her and I went through like a lot of shit together, right?
Right.
And yeah, so I mean, things have been going well, and I could already see, like, we've been going at it for like 3, 4, 5 months now.
Yeah.
And I could already see a lot of changes happening in my personal life that like I didn't even notice was there. If that makes sense.
Right. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Things that
things
that you're discovering now, you mean?
Yeah. That, like, where I'm like, damn, like, I really would get triggered by, for instance, a woman yelling at me.
Okay.
Well, but why is it? Because your mom was yelling at you?
Yeah, and I would kind of like, I would probably like do one of two things. I'd probably like fight back for no reason, or like kind of give in to some sort of drama, right? And like stuff, I definitely own, like, this is something that you've definitely talked about, and I like, looking back, I'm like, fuck, like, I can't believe I gave in again to that argument, and just like the drama, and I shouldn't have. Or maybe like just like, all right, let me just the typical stuff you talk about, like I'll like, so I just want to watch the game, let me just let her. And I'm like, I'm not happy. Why do I keep getting myself into these situations, right? And I noticed I needed to fix things with my mom, right? Because like, she's still in my life and trying to be in my life. With healthy boundaries, but I noticed that, like, I like, now that I've like had those conversations on, like, Mom, you kind of weren't there for us as a kid, or Mom, you used to speak really disrespectfully, and now she's taking accountability, and we're having these healthy conversations. I noticed it reflect in my personal relationships. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but there's something that comes to mind when you talk about this. Okay, what happens if you have these issues and your mom's passed away, right? And you don't have, you can't
nothing. I would have to figure it out without her around, right?
You got to understand something. I mean, you're lucky enough to reconcile this, but understand something. You're not dating your mom, and what you're doing is it's fine that you're able to reconcile these things, but would anybody that it's funny. I was talking to somebody and they were like, you got to heal your inner child. I've heard, I don't know if you ever heard that statement. That's such a bunch of bullshit ever, because the bottom line is you're not a child anymore. And I think the first thing that you have to recognize is that, and this is and this is not belittling any, people have sexual trauma or whatever, or they've been molested or whatever the fuck it is. The bottom line is, you the first thing I think you have to understand is that you're not a child. Like, I remember this the young lady that I was counseling, and she had her father was like, diddling her from the time she was like 12 years old, and he died of cancer and stuff like that, and so there's no recompense about this. There's no way for her to go back and get whatever satisfaction. But I think what I spent most of the time while I was counseling her was letting her know that you're not a child anymore. The problem is, we tend to think that the same people that have victimized us still have the power to victimize us, and we're grown people. Like, if your mom is screaming on you, right? You could you don't have to put up with that. You can say, listen, I'm not gonna have you talk to me that way. If your mom has passed away, and you once you recognize how you're triggered by this, you can also not put up with it. In fact, you shouldn't put up. If you are triggered, once you've decided what it is, okay, this is why. You have to understand, some people will never get, like, when they say heal your inner child, you're not a child. Grow the fuck up. And I don't mean to be cold about it, but the bottom line is, what you're afraid of. This is a weird thing. I went to Catholic school, and nobody was worse than them child-hating nuns. They were the worst human beings I've ever met. The nuns were, I can count on one hand the ones that were nice, right? I actually had a nun grab me by the ear and rip the top of my ear, where I had to get stitches because I was bleeding from the ear, because he yanked me from the ear to the degree, just sadistic cunts, right? When I remember when I was working for the phone company, I went into a convent, and the fear, the actual, like, my boy at the time who I was working with, he was like, what's wrong with you? Man, I was terrified because I was so triggered from just being in that dark, like, the convent had these wood molding and these statues and stuff, and I was instantly triggered. And then I realized, if some nun tried to pull my ear, I'll punch that bitch right in the fucking mouth. Like, that's never gonna happen again. You know what I mean? The guy who, or the child who you were, you're never gonna be that child again, and so you got to start with that you are safe.
So I should. Yeah, and I should say, for the last, 5 years, I should say she's been around, but we haven't been in each other's life. Like, I just, like, for Easter, like, hey, like, how's it going? It's been about 4 or 5 years where it's like, Merry Christmas. That's like our relationship, because of what you're saying, because I definitely laid down those boundaries after, once I became an adult, I had to be like,
right,
hey, you yell at me a lot. And no, so what you're saying, I definitely implemented.
Yeah.
But to your point, she actually is alive, and she is, like, out there, and she, she's my mother, and so I think I took more than the boundaries. I took an extra step to be like, you know what? Let me actually try and have a relationship with her while maintaining my boundaries.
Yeah.
And see if, like, something, see if, because like you always talk about, man, like, I don't. We're all gonna die one day, and I don't want to. She's in her 60s now, I kind of want to at least try.
Okay, let me be clear. I'm not knocking that, but be clear. You're an adult, right?
Yeah,
and if somebody,
I could just not
listen to what I'm saying, and understand this: if somebody doesn't have the emotional maturity or the intellectual awareness to have a relationship, or if they're not trying to make it work to try to have a relationship, they're not willing, then you got to be able to cut that loose too, because you're lucky that she wants this, and her somebody being in your life 63 years old who is a menace in your life doesn't make your life better simply because you have reconciled things with your mother, who is still abusive and still. I have a sister who is one that's dead and one that's I do not talk to because she does not have any accountability and has no sense of she's such a selfish individual that I know if I deal with her, I'm going to get fucked over. So
no, that's a good point. And
so I
was
don't
gonna say,
as much as I
laid that down.
As much as I have no problem with the fact that you're doing that, I also want to be clear about that, and I want Harry to speak to this.
Sure.
Because this is right in Harry's alley, you know, where he's going through with his dad now.
Yeah, I wanted to mention this, that the thing that's working for you is that your mother wants to make that effort, right? My father has no intention of making that effort.
I told her, I said, you're not going to be in my life if you don't. Like, unless you come to this with some accountability, unless you come to this with a real sense of like you trying to change and heal, I'm not going to be in your life.
Right.
Yeah, that's still a willingness to a degree. I mean, you coerced her and she's still making the effort, right? Right. But some people don't and they refuse to. And those people you just have to cut out of your life and move on. But you can still self-assess, you know, why those things happen. It probably helps with a psychologist or a talk therapist. You know, I've done a lot of it on my own, just, you know, just going through the history and realizing things and seeing things that my father does. That in hindsight, I go, oh, that's why this happens. Oh, I don't like talking to people.
He's incapable.
He's incapable
this
of it,
is conversations that Harry and I have had about his situation. And I was just, you got to understand, and up until this year, Harry was trying to still kind of have some remnants of section of it. And it was just, and this is something that I said to Harry probably a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. I was like, dog, this is not going, he don't respect you and he don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to cut it off. There has to be only one option, is that you're going to respect me and figure this shit out, or you don't have to, and then I'm going to move on. And, you know, it took and because it's your parent, you got to understand you know, sometimes our parents ain't shit. Sometimes
you guys, I've heard you guys say that. You said if she wasn't your mom, she was just a random person.
Yeah, you wouldn't fuck with her at all.
Hang out with her,
yeah.
And I'm like, probably not.
Right.
I agree with you. That's
and that's great that you can reconcile this, but you got to also know when somebody is You got to also know when you're banging your head against a wall, something, and you're trying to live something, trying to regain something that is you're incapable. Because understand something, you won't be a child. You're not going to regain this relationship with your parents before. Right. It's just not going to happen. So,
and you can't force somebody to do something they're unwilling to do.
Yeah, people do what they want to do.
Yeah.
So, but what happens is, and I've said this is even a situation where, you know, you could be in a marriage and somebody go, listen, I'm uncomfortable with the way things are moving and and I feel like you're not taking me, and they yes you to death, and then they go back and do the same thing again. What do they really say? What is the subtext of what they're communicating to you? The subtext is, I don't give a fuck about what you think. Yeah. I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do.
And I had to implement that, like I said, 5 years ago when I tried to just make it work, even though she was being abusive. And that was when I had to go, listen, we're not communicating anymore. I need you to get help. I need, like, your emotions are all over the place. You take it out on me. And I stuck to my word, like I said, Dante, it's been a solid 5 years.
Yeah.
So I stuck to, listen, you're not going to treat me that way. You know, this is just kind of like a recent thing that I'm willing to try, and I'm also willing to walk away.
Right. And you have to be in a situation where you're willing to walk away. And when you do have to walk away, you walk away and don't look back. And then I mean, we also got to not bang our head against the wall when the same outcome happens over and over, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah. For context, my dad's been in jail since I was 10.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my mom have gone through a lot together. We've gone through having to put up with this motherfucker in our lives, like getting out of jail, coming back, and I'm off drugs.
That and $6 will get you a carton of eggs, bro.
Right.
You know.
Right. And I had to learn I can't trust. Even they say I love you. Yeah. No matter how many times they say, you know, I'm a blah, 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 I can't trust. And so it's very, very similar. And I appreciate you. Like, you have been there for me all along the way. It's been a one whether it's been in, me just listening to you guys on the show. Like, so I'm always saying this. Like, I just so much appreciation for y'all.
Yeah, I appreciate you, bro. Thanks
bud.
thanks for coming in. All right, and sharing that with us. All right.
You. All right.
Peace.
All right, Dante. All right, Harry.
Hey, see you, bud.
Send me some money,
Thank you,
goddammit. Send me some money. The Cash App is not popping today. Let's get it popping. God damn it. I need some goddamn money.
Some other people making suggestions about how they deal with depression. I smoke a lot of pot, Nuna says. A lot of pot. That's okay. That's one way to deal with it. If that works, that doesn't work for everybody. And it may not fix the relationship you have with your mom and dad, but try it. It's good. It's worth trying it.
Yeah. Resident Daniel says, how can I deal with the perpetual feeling of emptiness that living in this selfish capitalist society leaves? Do something that, I mean, I'm going to tell you something. I a lot of times I feel like things are grim, and then I come on this live and talk to y'all and take these calls from you guys and see that that I'm making a difference, man. Just Daniel, just make a difference, man. Make a difference in somebody's life. You'd be surprised how much that helps. That helps, change your mood. The fact that that you are affecting the world in a positive way.
You're doing something, and also you get that energy from the energy you get. So even if it's not people, even if it's volunteering at an animal shelter or helping that, you feel that energy when people are grateful and appreciative of what you're doing. That's helpful. It's just, you also have to try to be grateful for the things that you do have, because it's a selfish society. It's rough, but it always could be worse. And there's a lot of people dealing with much, much worse. Yeah, it's a selfish, shitty society. It really is. But we don't have bombs being dropped on us every day like they do in the Middle East. We don't have hospitals. I mean, eventually. Not yet.
Yeah.
But ironically, they'll be our own bombs. I feel like a lot of that is going to be a lot of misfires happening.
Yeah.
But, it's just hard to do because you can get lost in it. I know with stand-up sometimes it's not always been a fair business. But I always try to take a moment before I get on stage, if I can remember that night, and go, man, this is pretty cool. Like, I'm about to step on a stage in New York City in front of a couple hundred people, and I'm going to entertain these people, and I'm good at it. I better take this in. Or I'll do a thing where I talk about, like, man, if I told 14-year-old me that one day I would be making a living and doing stand-up, my mind would be blown, right?
Yeah.
So, and we lose sight of that because you just get used to it and you're on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what else can alleviate that, because it can be a very draining feeling. It is a selfish, shitty society, but
I ain't gonna lie, man. Helping people it's a fucking dopamine, gives you a dopamine that you never, just the fact that I know I can talk to people and help them and move them forward and help them not make the same mistakes that I made over and over again. So
to accept, press 1.
Yo, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Greg from Philly area.
Greg?
Yeah.
What up, Greg? What's going on? How can I help you, bro?
Hey, I got one question, 2 statements. I'm gonna start off with the 2 statements. Number 1, that that flash forward dating?
Time travel.
That shit works.
Time travel. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Time travel. I apologize. Undefeated.
Yeah.
Greatest thing that you could. Well, one of the greatest tips that you gave me.
No, I mean, I would disagree with that. It's all because all of those things stand on they're all a house of cards that stand on each other. But go ahead. I appreciate the compliment, but go ahead.
Right. Second statement, Harry. I hate you sometimes, man. Because some of the things that you've shared with and all, and I'm like, damn, I definitely can relate to that shit.
Well, that's why I'm here.
I thought I was the only one. Thank you.
What are some of the things that you relate to when I bring them up?
Oh man, when you were like, dating like 5 different chicks and like having to travel and stuff like that and like bouncing out, and then you were like, oh, I'm tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, This like is at one point I had like 3 different chicks that I was seeing, but it was like each night a chick was coming over, and I got to be at work by 6 a.m.
Yeah,
well,
it's
the thing
exhausting,
is,
bro. It's exhausting,
the
but
crazy thing about that is what happens is you end up, you don't think that it's possible, and then I'm, because nobody believes me. They don't ever believe me, and then when it starts to happen, then you're like, oh, and then you forget that you made this choice, and the same way you've made the choice, you can unmake the choice, So
exactly, and that's why I'm just like, when I heard Harry say it the first time, I'm like, son of a bitch, this shit fucking, it's true.
Yeah.
Excuse the language, but being honest, like totally being honest, like, hey, listen, let's just see where it goes, and totally being transparent.
Yeah,
don't lie about anything. So,
makes it much easier.
But my question,
yeah,
exactly.
You got a question?
So when things yes, I do.
Let's go.
So
because this is gonna be the last call of the day because I'm losing Harry fast. So
sorry, guys. Sorry, I've been burning the candles at both ends, and but I wanted to be here for you guys, so I apologize. Greg, what was the question that you had? I appreciate the nice comments, and I'm happy that I'm here for you. But what was the question that you needed some help with?
All right, so there's this one woman that I see every now and then at work. We cross paths. I work first shift. She works third. And it's just like, we chop it up every time, like every now and then, like in like brief conversations, stuff like that. So today I was talking to her and I was like, damn, I ain't seen you possibly in like about 5 months. And so she's looking at me like, yo, just ask me. And I'm like, and then she had to go because her ride, she was riding with a coworker.
Mm-hmm.
I was, yo, when I see you tomorrow, I got to talk to you about something. She's like, all right, work. Okay. So flat out just come out and ask her, but like, yo, look, I'm trying to take you out when we're trying to get together, or just simply, how do I go about it?
This is a problem, and I'm gonna tell you why this is a problem. The fact that your strategy.
1 second.
Huh?
You're thinking. Hold up, because I've heard you say this to people before.
Yeah, you're strategizing because you're strategizing because you don't think you're worthy. I could tell you what to do, which is probably going to be my advice would be like, ask her. But the fact that you got to ask me whether or not you can ask her is what the problem is. Like, why would I mean, you're on the ground. You got boots on the ground. You know this situation better than anybody. You know if she's giving you any signals, and even if she didn't give you any signals, the fact that you feel confident enough that your personal value, it puts you in a position where you can actually just come out and ask. The fact that you're asking for a strategy is the problem because you don't think that you're worthy. So the doubt comes from that. If LeBron James is not looking at game tape, if he's playing against he's going to do a charity at a primary school with 8th graders because he's not really worried about how well they play. I mean, there's nothing at stake. And what you have to understand something, there's never anything at stake. When you realize that you're competent and you're the prize, and that you know who you are and you know what you bring to the table because you've worked on being the best version of yourself. When somebody turns me down, it's just, I'm like, all right, sucks to be you.
Like, all right, cool.
But if you got to understand something. The fact that you're asking for the strategy says to me that you don't think that. Is this chick prettier than normal, prettier than you're accustomed to?
No. I've dated some.
I'm saying, but is this chick a bad chick that you like?
Yeah, she's bad. But the thing is, like I said, we only talking like
it doesn't. None of that matters. All that shit you're telling me right now, it tells me that you are insecure about how this is going to turn out. And what you have to understand, if you honestly believe that that you're going to enhance somebody's life, it doesn't matter what she thinks, it doesn't matter what she don't think. You put yourself out there,
Greg.
You're giving her the opportunity.
Given enough practice and enough time, it should be so functional of just asking somebody out, like asking somebody if you're having a meeting, or asking literally like asking somebody if you could borrow $1 for the vending machine. It should be that.
And the fact that
stakes
you
should be
even
that
said,
low.
I got to talk to you about something tomorrow.
Right.
Why would you even do that? You talking to her now. How long would it have taken you? Y'all want to take you out while she's getting in the Uber? It don't matter.
5 seconds. You're right.
Do you understand? But so do you understand that the fact that you are apprehensive about it says everything I need to know. That you're not, and then then I said, well, is she real bad or whatever? You go, oh, yo, I've been with bad bitches and blah 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 blah, whatever, right? That has none of that matters. It don't matter how many you got. It just matters that you're confident about the one that you're trying to get. You understand? So it's kind of a poker tell that you're asking me, how do you go about asking for a girl from a guy who's telling me also that you've been killing it, that you got 3 on the roster. There is no way that I got 3 on the roster, and I'm worried about how
this is previous.
How I ask her and what her response is. If I got 3 on the roster, look, if I don't have none on the roster, I'm still doing you a favor. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
So there's something to that though, that there is an insecurity that I can see, that I can see your insecurity, and you're covering it up. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, as far as like the covering up part and insecurity, it's because of the company that I work for. A lot of dudes and chicks like that. It's like people have gotten.
That's not why. That's not you shit me. You bullshit me.
You can go through the legal process of going to human resources and all that once she says yes. Yeah. You can fill out the forms or whatever.
Yeah. That was his concern. If his concern was human resources, he wouldn't even go. He wouldn't even dabble in this. That is an absolute cop out. Because if you really worried about that, you just wouldn't shit where you eat. If that's really what your concern is, what you're worried about is the rejection that you might get, and this is what the apprehension is. Because
not being apprehensive, yes.
Yeah, well, but it has nothing. But you're telling me it's about the job, and it's not about the job. Are you not going to ask her out tomorrow?
I'm gonna ask her.
So what I'm saying is none of that. If that mattered, then that would matter. You know what I mean?
Right.
It should be so quick that when you want to do it, you do it. You know, it's. I understand you. You're trying to think about it. You're overthinking it. You're giving it too much high stakes for all of it. And it should be as simple as going, "Hey, you want to go out?" And that's it. You know, like just.
And then also that you saying that, right? You're being dishonest. You're being dishonest with me, and you're especially being dishonest with you, because you're giving it an excuse. You're giving it an excuse like, oh, it's at the job, and it's, I've seen guys get jammed up. None of that is going to stop you from asking that chick out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's not So what I'm saying is that's not the point. The real point is that you don't want to be rejected from her. Do you feel what I'm saying?
Like I said, I've gotten rejected before. And
that has nothing. That means absolutely nothing. So we've all been rejected before. Everybody on this live has been rejected before. Everybody in the history of manhood has been rejected before. That doesn't make the rejection from somebody that we think it matters any easier. You understand?
Yeah, I got you.
So you got to be honest. Now, if you'd have came on here and said, "Yo, I'm really like this bitch," big shout out to George, $10 on the Cash App. Thank you, brother. If the point was the HR, right? it was just about HR, then
you can just go to HR. They have forms for it.
You would go, I'm not gonna go to HR because I don't want to ask this chick out. Or the question would be that. That's not what the question is. The question is, how do I go about asking this girl who I like maybe more than I'm leading on to be, and I'm not being honest with it? You gotta be honest. The honesty is not just you being honest with them. The honesty is you being honest with yourself and just acknowledging that you might have a little insecurity about this chick. The acknowledgement is the thing that's going to help you manage it. Okay.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, brother.
Appreciate you.
Have a good one, y'all. Yeah, because it's a situation where it's not. I know when it's that or when it's something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's you're overthinking it, and because you're overthinking it with this one situation, you think it's this one chick that makes it different, or the circumstances, and it's really all the same.
And then the response is, "Oh, I've been rejected before." That don't mean shit.
For whatever reason, it's this one chick or the situation that is making him, but none of that can get in the way.
If I got a chance to smash Selma Hayek, and I got some broad that lives down the block, there's a difference. You know what I mean? We got there's a different value. But anyway, real quick, let me post this stuff up. Thank y'all for hanging out, man. Damn, we did 2 hours already. God, no wonder Harry's falling asleep.
Sorry about that, guys. It's been a tough couple weeks. But I'm here.
If you want to book a session, go to DanteNero.com, click on consult. You see it there, Harry. Or you can get advice from Harry at gmail.com. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Please, when you get a chance, man, send the episodes and send the clips to other people. That would be awesome. Also, don't forget the support. The best way to support the show is
patreon.com/manschool202. That's where we do all the bonus content. We do extra episodes and all the archive episodes where we start from episode 1. We post those exclusively on patreon.com.
Yeah. GYBB gets your balls back. WWDD, what would Dante do? Also, anybody on the Patreon, if you want a show specifically about a topic, send us a message on the Patreon app. Yo, I love y'all, man. We out of here. Peace.